The night I found out my fiancé wasn't just cheating on me, but had another life entirely. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even confront him. I smiled, poured him another drink, and texted a number I wasn't supposed to have. Because the woman on the other end, she thought she was the only one, and I was about to ruin both of our lives, or save them. I still don't know which. Started on a random Tuesday. Nothing dramatic, nothing suspicious. Just one of those normal, boring days that blend into the next. I had just gotten back from work, kicked off my heels, and was about to order takeout when I noticed something weird. Ethan's location was off. Now, before you roll your eyes, I wasn't one of those paranoid girlfriends constantly checking his phone. We had location sharing on because of safety, not trust issues. At least that's what I told myself. But that night, his phone wasn't where he said he was. He told me he'd be at the gym, his location, across town, at an apartment complex I'd never seen before. I stared at the screen for a good minute, convincing myself it was a glitch. Technology messes up all the time, right? GPS errors, signal issues, normal stuff. Except it didn't move. For 20 minutes straight. Same building, same spot, and something in my gut twisted in a way I couldn't ignore. So I did something I'd never done before. I drove there. No plan. No dramatic confrontation speech. Just instinct. The drive felt longer than it actually was. My mind kept jumping between explanations. Maybe he was helping a friend. Maybe his phone got left behind. Maybe I was overthinking this completely. I wanted to be wrong. God, I wanted to be wrong. But when I pulled into that parking lot, I knew I wasn't. His car was there, parked near the back. Lights off, engine cold. I just sat there for a second, hands gripping the steering wheel, trying to calm the sudden pounding in my chest. This was the moment, the point where everything either made sense or fell apart. I got out, walked slowly, each step heavier than the last. And then I saw it. Apartment 3B, lights on, curtains slightly open, and inside, Ethan, laughing, not alone, with her. She was standing close to him, too close, the kind of close you don't stand unless you belong there, unless it's normal, comfortable, routine. He reached out and tucked her hair behind her ear, the same way he did to me. That tiny, specific gesture, that broke something, because that wasn't random. That wasn't a mistake. That was habit. And habits mean repetition. I didn't bang on the door, didn't storm in, didn't create a scene. I just stood there, watching long enough to understand one thing clearly. This wasn't new. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was a life, a second life, and I wasn't part of it. I walked back to my car slowly, my entire body numb in that weird, quiet way where you expect to feel something huge, but instead, everything just goes still. No tears, no anger, just clarity, the kind that hits you so hard, it feels almost peaceful. I sat in my car and pulled out my phone, opened Ethan's contact, then paused, because calling him, that would have been easy, too easy, and I wasn't interested in easy anymore. I wanted answers, real ones, so instead, I zoomed in on the apartment number again, 3B. Then I searched the building online, found the leasing site. Tenant listings weren't public, but sometimes people leave digital footprints without realizing it. Took me about 15 minutes, and then I found her, Lena Carter. Same apartment number, same building, social media public. And what I saw next, that's when everything went from bad to insane. Because she wasn't just some random girl. She had pictures, lots of them, of him, not hidden, not secret, posted, smiling together, holding hands, at dinners, trips, events, and the captions? 2 years with my person. Couldn't imagine life without you. Forever isn't long enough. 2 years. I stared at that number like it was a mistake, because I had been with Ethan for 3, engaged for 1, living together for almost 2, which meant there was overlap, a lot of it, and suddenly, every memory I had with him started twisting. Late work nights, Business trips. Weekends he said he needed space. All of it. It wasn't random. It wasn't coincidence. It was scheduled, balanced, managed, like I was just one part of something bigger. And that realization, that's what finally made my hands shake. Not because he cheated, but because of how well he did it. How carefully, how consistently, how easily. I kept scrolling. More pictures, more proof. And then I froze, because in one of the photos, she was wearing a ring. Not just any ring, a very specific kind. The kind you don't give casually. The kind that means something. My stomach dropped, because it looked exactly like mine. Not identical, but close enough. Close enough that it wasn't a coincidence. And that's when the final piece clicked into place. He didn't just cheat on me. He built 2 relationships. 2 real ones. Running at the same time. With the same level of commitment. The same promises. The same future. And we both believed him. I leaned back in my seat, staring at the dashboard, letting that sink in. 2 lives. 2 women. 1 man. And neither of us knew. At least, not yet. I looked back at my phone, at her profile, at her smile, at the way she looked at him in those pictures. And for the first time that night, I didn't feel angry at her. I felt something else. Something unexpected. Something dangerous. Understanding. Because she wasn't the enemy. She was just like me. And if that was true, then the real problem was sitting comfortably between both of us, thinking he was untouchable. I unlocked my phone again, found her number through a tagged post, hovered over it for a second, because once I did this, there was no going back. No pretending, no ignoring, no easy way out, just truth. Raw, messy, destructive truth. I took a breath and sent the message. Hey, I think we're dating the same man. 3 dots appeared almost instantly, then disappeared, then came back again. And when her reply finally showed up, my entire world shifted in a way I wasn't ready for, because she didn't sound shocked. She sounded calm. Yeah, she replied. I was waiting for you to figure it out. Yeah, she replied. I was waiting for you to figure it out. I read that message 3 times, not because I didn't understand it, but because my brain refused to accept how calm she sounded. No panique, no confusión, no denial, just acceptance. Like this wasn't news to her, like I was the one catching up. My fingers hovered over the screen for a second before I typed back. What do you mean? You were waiting? The reply came faster this time. Call me. No hesitación, no explanación. Just that. For a split second, I thought about ignoring it, about blocking her, going home, pretending none of this existed. But that version of me, she was gone the second I saw him in that apartment. So I hit call. She picked up on the first ring. Finally, she said. Her voice was steady, controlled, not what I expected at all. You knew, I asked immediately. There was a short pause. Not everything, she said, but enough. My grip tightened around the phone. How long? About a month. A month. She had known for a month. And you didn't say anything? I asked, my voice sharper now. I didn't have proof, she replied. Not solid proof, just patterns, weird gaps, inconsistencies. I let out a slow breath. So you just waited? No, she said calmly. I started digging. That word hit differently. Digging. Not reacting, not confronting, investigating. And what did you find? I asked. Another pause. Then, you. My heart skipped. What? I found traces, she continued. Different phone numbers, overlapping timelines. Places he said he was that didn't match what I saw. She wasn't guessing. She had been tracking this, building it, piece by piece. I didn't know your name at first, she added. But I knew there was someone else, someone serious. I leaned back in my seat, trying to process how this situation had flipped so fast. I was engaged to him, I said quietly. I know, she replied. That made my stomach drop. You know? Yes. How? I saw the ring before I ever saw you. Silence filled the call for a second, because that meant something important. He wasn't hiding me. Not completely. He was just managing the exposure. Carefully. Strategically. Like everything else. I needed confirmation, she continued. That's why I didn't reach out first. And now, I asked, now I have it. I closed my eyes for a second. This was insane. Completely insane. Two women, on opposite sides of the same lie, both thinking they were the main story. Turns out, we were just chapters. So what now? I asked. Her answer came instantly. We meet. I opened my eyes. Tonight. There was no hesitation in her voice. No uncertainty. Just decision. I looked back at the apartment building, at the window where he was still inside, completely unaware that his entire life was about to collapse. Where? I asked. I'll send you the address, she said. Neutral place. Why not here? Pressed. Because if we do this right, she replied. He won't see it coming. That line sent a chill down my spine, because it meant one thing very clearly. She wasn't thinking about confronting him. She was thinking about something else. Something bigger, more controlled, more deliberate. All right, I said finally. I'll be there. She hung up without another word. The drive to the cafe she sent felt different than the one earlier. Before, I was chasing answers. Now, I was stepping into something I didn't fully understand yet. But I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't going to be emotional. This wasn't going to be messy. This was going to be calculated. And somehow, that scared me more. She was already there when I walked in, sitting in the corner, calm, composed, like she had been waiting for this moment. For me, Lena Carter, in real life, not through a screen, not through pictures. And the first thing that hit me, she looked normal, not like the villain I had imagined in my head, not like the other woman, just a person, just like me, same tired eyes, same quiet tension in her posture, same realization sitting behind everything. She looked up as I approached, and for a second, we just stared at each other, taking it in, measuring, understanding. Then she gestured to the chair across from her. Sit. I did. Neither of us spoke for a few seconds. Because what do you even say in a moment like this? Hi, I think we're sharing the same man. Nice to meet you? It was absurd. Finally, she broke the silence. He told me he travels for work, she said. I let out a small, humorless laugh. He told me the same thing. She nodded. Of course he did. There was no bitterness in her tone, just confirmation. 2 years? I asked. She nodded. Almost exactly. 3 for me, I said. Her eyes flickered slightly at that. Longer than I thought. That hurt more than I expected, because it meant she had been trying to piece together something even bigger than what she knew. And the ring? I asked. She glanced down at her hand, then back at me. He said it was temporary, she said. That he wanted to upgrade it later. I almost laughed again, because he told me the exact same thing. Same script, same promises, different delivery. Unbelievable, I muttered. No, she said quietly. Very believable. She wasn't wrong, because men like him, they don't improvise. They repeat what works. We spent the next hour laying everything out. Every detail, every timeline, every inconsistency. And the more we talked, the clearer the picture became. This wasn't sloppy. This wasn't reckless. This was structured, balanced, maintained with precision, like a second job, or maybe even a system. He rotates weekends, she said at one point. I froze. What? She nodded. I tracked it. Every other weekend, he's with me. The others? He's out of town. My chest tightened, because I already knew what that meant. He's with me, I said. We looked at each other, and in that moment, everything aligned. Perfectly. Too perfectly. That's not normal, I said slowly. No, she agreed. It's not. There was something else here. something deeper than just cheating, because cheating is messy. This was organized, intentional, controlled, like he was managing two lives on purpose. Not just getting away with it, but maintaining it. And that thought, that's when things shifted inside me, because I stopped seeing him as just a liar and started seeing him as something else entirely, something colder, more calculated, more dangerous. So, I said finally, leaning back slightly, "What do we do?" Lena didn't answer immediately. She just looked at me, studying, measuring, like she was trying to figure out if I was capable of what she was thinking. Then she said something that changed everything. "We don't confront him." I frowned. "Then what?" She leaned forward slightly, lowered her voice, and said, "We make him tell us the truth, without knowing we already know it." My heart started beating faster, because that wasn't just revenge. That was strategy. "How?" I asked. A small, almost dangerous smile appeared on her face. "I've been planning that part," she said, and something about the way she said it told me this was only the beginning, because whatever she had in mind, it wasn't simple, it wasn't quick, and it definitely wasn't something he would recover from. I swallowed, then nodded. "All right," I said, "let's hear it." She leaned back, calm again, in control, and the next words out of her mouth, they made one thing very clear. We weren't just exposing him. We were about to destroy everything he built, piece by piece, without him even realizing it, until it was too late. I didn't go home that night, not because I was scared, but because I finally understood something that changed everything. I wasn't dealing with a cheating man. I was dealing with someone who had been living a completely different life, and I had no idea how deep it went yet. I sat in my car outside a random grocery store parking lot for almost an hour, just staring at my phone. My hands were still shaking, but not from sadness anymore. It was something colder now, something sharper, because that little boy's face wouldn't leave my mind. The way he looked at Liam, like that was his dad, not someone he barely saw, not someone visiting. No, that was familiarity, routine, love, which meant one thing I hadn't fully processed yet. This wasn't new. This had been going on for years. I exhaled slowly and leaned my head back against the seat. Then I did something I should have done a long time ago. I stopped reacting, and I started thinking. If Liam had another life, another woman, and a child, then he didn't just lie to me emotionally. He lied to me legally, financially, socially, everything. And that meant there were cracks. There had to be. I grabbed my phone and opened our shared banking app. At first glance, everything looked normal. Same patterns, same spend. Eventually gets sloppy, and I had just found the first loose thread. I drove home slowly, my mind racing. When I walked in, the house felt different, colder, like I didn't belong there anymore, like it wasn't really mine. I dropped my bag on the couch and walked straight to Liam's office. He hated when I touched his stuff, said it was disrespectful. I used to listen, not anymore. I opened his desk drawer, then the next one, then the cabinet. Nothing obvious at first, just files, work papers, random junk. But then I noticed something small, a locked drawer. I frowned, because Liam didn't lock things, not from me, unless there was something to hide. I sat down in his chair, staring at it. For a moment I considered leaving it, waiting, playing it safe. But then that image hit me again. Him, standing in another woman's doorway, smiling like that was his real life. And something inside me snapped.
No, immutare.
Not anymore. I stood up, walked to the kitchen, grabbed a knife and came back. Took less than a minute to pry it open. And what I found inside made my stomach drop. Cash, stacks of it, organized, band-wrapped, more than I'd ever seen him keep around. But that wasn't the worst part. Underneath the cash was a folder. I pulled it out slowly. My fingers felt numb as I opened it. And the moment I saw the first page, everything inside me went completely still. It was a lease, Not for an apartment, for a house. The same address I had just been to, signed, in Liam's name, but the co-signer wasn't me. It was her, the woman. My vision blurred for a second. I blinked hard, forcing myself to keep reading. Dates, payments, utilities, everything. He hadn't just been visiting. He lived there too. A second home, a second life, a second family. And I had been nothing more than the cover, the stability, the safe option. I dropped the folder on the desk, my chest rising and falling too fast. Okay, I whispered, pacing the room. Okay. I needed to think, because this wasn't just cheating anymore. This was something else, something bigger. And if I handled it wrong, I'd lose everything. But if I handled it right, I could take everything back, every single piece. I stopped pacing and looked at the folder again, then at the cash, then around the room. And that's when a new thought hit me. Cold, precise, dangerous. Liam thought I didn't know, which meant he thought he still had control. And that was my advantage. A slow smile spread across my face, because for the first time since this started, I wasn't reacting anymore. I was planning, and Liam had no idea what was coming. I picked up my phone and opened my contacts, scrolled for a second, then stopped on one name, someone I hadn't talked to in years, but someone who knew exactly how to handle situations like this. I hesitated for just a second, then pressed call. It rang twice, 3 times, then, hello. His voice was calm, professional,
Familiar.
I swallowed. Hey, it's me. Pause. Then a shift in his tone. Concern. Emma? Everything okay? I looked down at the documents in front of me, at the life I thought I had, at the truth I had just uncovered. And I said something I never thought I'd say.
No.
I took a breath. But it's about to be. Silence on the other end. Then, what do you need? I closed my eyes for a second, then opened them again. Clear, focused, done being naive. I need you to help me destroy him. Another pause, longer this time. Then, tell me everything. And as I started talking, as I laid out every detail, every lie, every piece of evidence, I didn't feel broken anymore. I didn't feel weak. I felt something else. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. Control. Because Liam thought he was living 2 lives. But he forgot one thing. You can't build 2 worlds without leaving a trail behind. And I had just started following it. But what I didn't know yet was that Liam wasn't the only one hiding something. Because the deeper I dug, the more I realized that woman, she wasn't just another victim. And that child wasn't just part of his lie. There was something else, something darker, something that would change everything again. And I was about to find out the hard way. I didn't sleep that night, not even for a second. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the same thing. Liam standing in that doorway, relaxed, comfortable, like he belonged there more than he ever did with me. And then that kid, calling him dad without hesitation. But what kept replaying louder than anything else was what I found in that drawer. The lease, the cash, the proof that this wasn't a mistake or some messy affair. This was planned, maintained, protected, a whole second life running parallel to mine. And now I had someone on my side. Daniel. I hadn't spoken to him in years, but the second I finished explaining everything, his tone shifted from polite concern to something sharp and focused. Emma, he said slowly, this isn't just cheating. This is financial deception at minimum. Possibly fraud, depending on how deep it goes. I leaned back against the wall, phone pressed to my ear. I figured as much. Do you have access to all accounts? Most of them, I said. But there are transfers I don't recognize. Weekly. Consistent. Good, he replied immediately. That's a trail. And trails are what we use. There was a pause. Then his voice softened slightly. Listen to me carefully. Do not confront him yet. I let out a quiet breath. Wasn't planning to. Good, because right now he thinks you're in the dark. That's your biggest advantage. The moment he suspects otherwise, he'll start covering things up. I know. And Emma, one more thing. I straightened a little. What? If he's been maintaining a second household, there's a high chance there's more you haven't found yet. People don't compartmentalize like this unless they're hiding something bigger. That word again, bigger, it sat heavy in my chest. Because deep down, I already felt it. I'll send you a list, Daniel continued. Documents, records, anything you can gather quietly. We build a full picture first. Then we decide how to hit him. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Okay. And Emma? Yeah. Don't underestimate him. Men who live double lives this long, they're good at it. I swallowed. Yeah. I whispered. I'm starting to realize that. When the call ended, the house felt suffocating. Too quiet. Too fake. I looked around at everything. The furniture we picked together, the photos on the wall, the life I thought was mine. And for the first time, it all looked like a stage set. Like something designed to keep me comfortable while the real story happened somewhere else. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just moved. Systematically. Purposefully. I grabbed a notebook and started writing. Dates. Transactions. Anything I remembered that felt even slightly off over the past year. Late nights. Business trips. Phone calls he took outside. Every little detail that didn't make sense back then suddenly started forming a pattern. And the more I wrote, the angrier I got. Not loud anger. Not explosive. The quiet kind. The dangerous kind. The kind that builds. Hours passed before I heard the front door unlock. My body stiffened instantly. Liam. I hadn't even realized how late it had gotten. I quickly closed the notebook and slipped it under the couch cushion, then stood up just as he walked in. He looked normal, like nothing had changed, like he hadn't just walked out of another woman's house hours ago. Hey, he said casually, kicking off his shoes. You're still up. I forced my face into something neutral. Yeah, couldn't sleep. He nodded, walking past me toward the kitchen. Long day. I watched him as he poured himself a drink, completely at ease. How was work? I asked, keeping my voice steady. He shrugged. Same as usual. Meetings, deadlines, nothing exciting. Like, the word echoed in my head so loudly I almost laughed. But I didn't. I just nodded slowly. Sounds exhausting. He leaned against the counter, taking a sip. You have no idea. I stared at him, at the man I thought I knew, and for a second, I wondered how many times he'd stood in that exact spot, telling me half-truths while hiding an entire life behind his back. Emma, I blinked. Yeah, you're being quiet. I shrugged lightly, just tired. He studied me for a moment, like he was trying to read something, and for a split second, I felt it, that shift, that tiny flicker of suspicion. But then it disappeared, and he smiled. You should get some rest, he said. Big day tomorrow, right? I forced a small smile back. Yeah, big day. If only he knew. He finished his drink and headed upstairs, leaving me alone in the quiet again. But this time, it didn't feel suffocating. It felt like the calm before something else. Something bigger. I waited until I heard the bedroom door close. Then I moved. Back into his office, back to that drawer, back to the evidence. But this time, I looked deeper. I checked inside the folder again, slower, more carefully. And that's when I noticed something I'd missed before. A second document, tucked behind the lease, folded, hidden. My fingers hesitated for just a second before pulling it out. And the moment I unfolded it, my heart stopped. It wasn't just a lease. It wasn't just financial records. It was something else entirely. Something official. Something that changed everything again. A birth certificate. I froze, staring at the name, at the date, at the details. And then my eyes dropped to the line that mattered most. Father's name, Liam Carter. My grip tightened on the paper. But then I noticed something else. Something that made the room feel like it tilted slightly. The date. It didn't match. Not with what I had seen earlier. Not with the boy at the house. This was older. Different. Another child. My breath came out shaky as I flipped the paper over. Like there would be some explanation on the back. There wasn't. Just cold, printed truth. I stood there in silence, the weight of it crashing down slowly. One secret family was already too much. But this meant there wasn't just one hidden life. There were multiple. And suddenly, everything Daniel said hit differently. This wasn't just betrayal. This was something far more calculated, far more controlled, and far more dangerous than I had imagined. I looked toward the stairs, where Liam was sleeping peacefully, completely unaware. And for the first time since this started, a different kind of thought crossed my mind. Not just about exposing him, not just about leaving, but about understanding exactly who I had been living with all this time. Because one thing was clear now. I didn't actually know Liam, not even close. And the deeper I dug, the more I was starting to realize I might not like what I find next. I didn't realize how long I had been standing there until my legs started to feel numb. The birth certificate was still in my hand. Another child, another timeline, another lie. And the worst part? This one didn't match anything I had seen earlier. Different date, different mother, different life. Which meant Liam hadn't just been juggling two relationships. He had been juggling multiple. My chest tightened as the reality settled in piece by piece. This wasn't cheating. This wasn't even just deception anymore. This was a system, a carefully constructed, controlled system where he played different roles in different lives, and somehow kept them from colliding. Until now, I slowly folded the paper back, my hand steady again. Not because I was calm, but because something inside me had shifted. I wasn't shocked anymore. I was focused. I placed the document back on the desk and stared at it for a long moment. Then I pulled my phone out and called Daniel again. He picked up almost immediately. "Tell me you found something," he said. I let out a slow breath. "Yeah, I did." "What kind of something?" I hesitated for half a second, then said it. "Another child." Silence. Not the casual kind, the heavy kind. The kind where someone is recalculating everything in real time. "You're serious?" he finally asked. "Birth certificate. Signed. Official. Dates." I told him. There was another pause. Longer this time. Then, "Emma." This just escalated. I figured. "No, you don't understand," he continued, his tone sharper now. "If there are multiple undisclosed dependents, undisclosed properties, and shared financial movement tied to them, this isn't just personal betrayal anymore. This is legal exposure on multiple levels." I leaned against the desk, staring at the wall. "So what does that mean?" "It means," he said slowly, "he's been dividing assets, income, and identity across multiple households. That opens him up to fraud, tax violations, and possibly more depending on how it's structured." I closed my eyes briefly. "So he didn't just lie to me?" "No," Daniel replied. "He built something illegal and hid it inside normal life." That word again. Built. Everything about Liam suddenly felt less like a person and more like an architect of something I was never meant to see. "What do we do?" I asked quietly. "We keep going," Daniel said without hesitation. "We gather everything, every document, every account, every connection. And then," his voice dropped slightly, "then we take it all at once." A slow breath left my lungs, because I understood what he meant. No small confrontation.
No imus en el argument.
No chance for Liam to manipulate his way out. Just total exposure. Clean. Final. Irreversible. "I can do that," I said. "I know you can." We stayed on the phone a few minutes longer while he walked me through what to look for next. Hidden accounts, digital backups, insurance policies, anything that connected names, dates, or money. When the call ended, I didn't hesitate. I went back to work, The next 2 days felt like I was living a double life of my own. During the day, I was normal, calm, smiling, acting like nothing had changed. I talked to Liam like I always did, ate dinner with him, sat next to him on the couch, even laughed at something he said once, which felt so fake it almost made me sick. And him? He had no idea, not even a hint, which told me something important. He didn't expect me to ever question him. Not seriously, not deeply. That confidence, that arrogance, it was about to cost him everything. The night, I became someone else. I went through everything. His office, his laptop, his backups, and eventually, I found it. The one thing that tied everything together. A hidden drive, not obvious, not labeled, just tucked behind a stack of old work files like it didn't matter. But the moment I plugged it in, I knew, because people like Liam don't keep backups unless they need control. And control means records. The screen lit up slowly. Folders, dozens of them, organized, dated, categorized. My stomach dropped as I opened the first one. Photos, documents, messages, everything. Different women, different addresses, different timelines. Some overlapped, some didn't, but all of them had one thing in common. Him. I sat there in silence, scrolling, taking it in, feeling something cold settle deeper in my chest. Because this wasn't random. This wasn't impulsive. This was deliberate, maintained, perfected over time, like a pattern he had repeated again and again, until it became normal for him, until it became easy. I opened another folder, and another, each one revealing a piece of a life I never knew existed. Different versions of him, different personalities, different promises, all real, all convincing, all lies. And then I froze, because one folder was labeled with my name. My breath caught as I clicked it open. Inside were files about me, not just photos, not just messages, information, detailed, organized, my work schedule, my routines, my habits, notes, actual notes, like I was part of a plan, not a partner, not someone he loved, a variable, something to manage, something to fit into his system. My hands started shaking again, but this time, it wasn't from heartbreak. It was from realization. I wasn't just one of many. I was one of many by design. And that changed everything. Because now this wasn't just about exposing him. It was about understanding him. And the more I understood, the more dangerous this became. I grabbed my phone and texted Daniel. I found everything. His reply came seconds later. How bad? I looked at the screen, at the files, at the lives, at the version of me that existed only in his system. Then I typed back, worse than we thought. I hit send, then leaned back slowly, staring at the ceiling. Because now I knew one thing for sure. Ending this wasn't going to be simple. It wasn't going to be quick. And it definitely wasn't going to be clean. Because Liam didn't just build relationships. He built control. And people like that don't go down quietly. But what he didn't realize yet was that I wasn't alone anymore. And I wasn't the same woman he thought he could manage. Not even close. Because the next step wasn't just exposing him. It was setting a trap so precise that he would walk into it willingly, thinking he was still in control, until the exact moment everything collapsed. And when that moment came, there would be no escape left for him. Only consequences. Real ones. The kind he never planned for. The night everything ended didn't feel dramatic at first. No screaming. No glass breaking. No emotional explosion like people imagine. It started quietly, controlled, exactly how I planned it. And that's what made it devastating. 3 days after I found the drive, everything was ready. Every document copied, every file backed up, every timeline mapped. Daniel had built something airtight, financial trails, identity overlaps, legal exposure points. Not guesses, not assumptions. Proof. And not just enough to confront him, enough to ruin him completely. The only thing left was getting him to walk into it, willingly. Dinner tonight? I asked him casually that morning, pouring coffee like nothing had changed. Liam looked up from his phone. What's the occasion? I smiled softly. Do I need one? He hesitated for half a second, then nodded. Yeah, sure. 7, I said. I'll handle everything. He had no idea. And that was the most satisfying part. By the time evening came, everything was in place. Not at home, not somewhere familiar, neutral ground. A private dining room at a quiet upscale restaurant downtown. Clean, controlled.
No distractions. No escape.
Daniel was already there, not visible, but present, watching, waiting. Lila too. She didn't want to be part of the confrontation at first. But in the end, she chose to come. Not for revenge, for closure. And the other woman, the one with the child, she was there too. Because this wasn't just my story. It never was. Liam arrived right on time. Relaxed, confident, smiling, like he was walking into a normal dinner with the woman who loved him. Wow, he said, glancing around the private room. This is unexpected. I smiled. Sit. He did, still unaware, still comfortable. How was your day? He asked, loosening his jacket. Productive, I said calmly. That word made him nod. Same here. Of course it was. Lies always sound the same. I poured him a drink, watched his hands as he took the glass. Steady, careless, safe, for now. Emma, he said, leaning back slightly. What's going on? I tilted my head slightly. What do you mean? This, he gestured lightly. This setup. You don't usually do this. I smiled again. You're right. Pause. Then I added, but tonight isn't usual. Something shifted in his expression. Just slightly. Not fear. Not yet. Just awareness. Okay, he said slowly. So what is it? I reached into my bag, pulled out the first folder, and placed it on the table between us. His eyes dropped to it, then back to me. What's this? Open it. He hesitated, then did. The moment he saw the first page, I saw it. That flicker, the crack, the first real break in his confidence. His jaw tightened slightly as he flipped to the next page. Then the next, and the next, each one worse than the last. Each one removing another layer of control he thought he had. Emma, he started, but I cut him off. Keep going. His hands slowed, his breathing changed, because now he understood. Not everything, but enough. This isn't what you think, he said quickly. I laughed. Not loud, not dramatic, just enough. That's funny, I said, because I think I've been saying that to myself for 3 years. His eyes snapped up to mine, and for the first time since I met him, he looked unsure. You went through my stuff? He asked. No, I said calmly. I went through your life. That hit hard, and he knew it. You don't understand, he started again. I understand everything, I said sharply this time. Then I leaned forward slightly. Multiple properties, multiple women, multiple children, financial transfers, identity overlap. You didn't just lie, Liam. I paused. Let it settle. You built a system. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. And then, the door opened. He turned instinctively, and when he saw them, everything collapsed. Lila stepped in first, then the other woman, holding her son's hand. Liam's entire body went still. No, he whispered. I leaned back in my chair. Calm. Finished. Yes. The room felt smaller now, tighter, because there was nowhere left for him to go. No version of reality he could control anymore. You said you loved me, Lila said, her voice shaking slightly, but steady enough. You said we were building a future. The other woman didn't speak. She just looked at him, And somehow, that silence hit harder than anything else. Because it wasn't emotional. It was final. Liam stood up suddenly. "This is insane," he said, running a hand through his hair. "You don't get it. This isn't how it looks." "Oh, we get it," I said calmly. Then I slid the final document across the table. The one that ended everything. He stared at it. Didn't touch it. Didn't need to, because he already knew. "What is that?" Lila asked quietly. I didn't take my eyes off him. "Everything," I said. Daniel stepped into the room at that moment.
No rush.
No drama, just presence. Professional, controlled. And Liam's face? That's when the fear finally showed. Real fear, because now it wasn't just personal. It was legal. I won't go into every detail of what happened next. But here's what matters. He didn't talk his way out of it. He didn't manipulate anyone. He didn't regain control, because there was nothing left to control. Everything he built collapsed in one night. Clean, precise, final. Months later, my life looks nothing like it used to. Quieter, simpler, real. No lies.
No hidden lies.
No second versions of reality waiting to be discovered. Lila moved on too, stronger than before. Not untouched, but unbroken. The other woman, she did what she needed to do. For herself, for her child. And for once, she wasn't being lied to anymore. As for Liam, I don't think about him. Not because I forgot, but because I understand now. People like him don't just hurt you. They reshape how you see everything. Trust, love, reality itself. But here's the thing they don't expect. You can rebuild. Stronger, smarter, unbreakable in ways you weren't before. And if there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's this: the truth doesn't always come gently. Sometimes it crashes into your life and tears everything apart. But what you do after that, that's what defines you. If the story hooked you, shocked you, or made you think twice about trust, hit subscribe, because the next story might hit even closer to home than this one did.